This next lie is simply unbelievable. One its teller lived with every day of his life for over 50 years. Billy Tipton was a popular musician of the jazz era, loved by his friends, colleagues, and children. But he wasn't all that he seemed to be. And not until his death did the world know the truth about Billy Tipton.
This is the story of a jazz musician. He settled in Spokane, Washington, and worked the local music scene. In fact, you're hearing his music now. His name was Billy Tipton. He was a popular fixture in Spokane, and a lot of people knew him. Some people thought they knew him well.
He never shaved, and I knew that. There's people like that, you know. And he had a baby face.
We never saw him without a shirt on, or never saw him naked, or we never saw him really doing anything.
I don't know why he did what he did or whatever, but he didn't ever hurt anybody. And I think everybody that ever knew him would never have a bad word to say about him.
Billy Tipton was a talented jazz pianist and saxophone player. He spent nearly 35 years performing with both big bands and his own Billy Tipton Trio. From 1953 to 1961, Billy and the trio toured the West. His drummer was Dick O'Neill.
At the time he was breaking into music, there wasn't too much demand for horn players, so he went to playing piano, and that's what he stayed in because there was more jobs for piano players. But he could sit down and play drums, he could play bass, he could play piano, play vibes, he could play just about anything. He's a very talented person.
Tipton was a loving husband and devoted father. With his last wife, Kitty, he adopted and raised 3 sons. But when Billy died of an ulcer at the age of 74, the local coroner made a startling discovery. Billy Tipton was, in fact, a woman.
He showed me the death certificate. Yeah, autopsy report, basically. I read it. I thought it was fine, so I handed it back to him. I go, try again. And I give it back to him. And he's reading it line for line. And he comes across female. He goes, no way. That was his first words, no way.
Billy was born Dorothy Lucille Tipton in Oklahoma City in 1914. She was an average student who devoted her time to music. But in 1933, Dorothy changed her life. She borrowed her brother's name, disguised herself in men's clothes, then launched a new career as a jazz musician and as a man. In the 30s and 40s, there were very few women musicians with the big bands. Most were singers. But Billy played piano and sax. Women back then generally didn't do that sort of thing.
I see Billy as a very committed musician, a very committed father, a person perhaps caught in a dilemma. The dilemma is the ambition to be recognized as a world-class jazz musician and his perception that as a female, he could never have that.
In 1962, Billy married Kitty Flaherty, a dancer. It was his 3rd or 4th marriage. No one's quite sure.
He proposed to me through my mother. So I got down on Billy's knee, reached across my lap, took my mother's hand, and said, please make her marry me.
Soon after their wedding, Billy and Kitty adopted 3 sons, John, Scott, and Billy Jr.
Dad was always there for us. He never hurt us. In fact, we went to him for everything. And he was always there to help.
But how could he possibly have gotten away with it?
Maybe that's why Dad never did go to a doctor. See, there was never any questions because he always wore this supporter that had a jock on it and stuff, so there was never any questions. I mean, we used to see him in the laundry. And we knew he had a lot of socks. And they were hanging up all the time. We didn't know why.
Well, Billy never did go in for it. It was the only thing that Billy never did. But he had told me the reason why. I believed it. Still the basic thing is he'd been in a car wreck. Okay, had been badly damaged from the rib down past the hip, and it was very impossible to do anything. We did all the things except for the fact that Billy and I slept in separate rooms.
By 1978, the marriage had fallen apart, and Billy moved into a trailer park in Spokane. That's where, on January 21st, 1989, Billy Tipton's youngest son found his father lying dead. When the body was prepared for burial, the secret Billy Tipton had harbored nearly 56 years was uncovered.
I think what happened was Dad got too involved, too far too quick to turn around after 20 years and go, well, shoot, I'm really this kind of person.
And right or wrong, whatever Billy did and how he did it, okay? We'll never know for sure. The three children were raised with love and care.
He was the perfect parent. He was mom and dad. In more than one way, which we never knew.
Billy Tipton was a talented musician who gave a lot of people pleasure with his music. But those who knew him best never guessed how great a performance he really gave.